are being shared, that knowledge is being used readily by actors in other cities. So with that, I'd like to conclude, just welcome you to this morning session in which we will hear in detail on all these areas of work, of all collaboration between FAO and the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. First, we'll hear about the monitoring framework, different experiences in cities and how they're addressing, using this kind of indicators in their own cities. We'll hear about the role of cities in transforming in the transformation of food systems, and we'll see some very promising practices. And towards the end of the session, we'll discuss this with you the way forward. So we expect your collaboration. We will be happy to hear your experience and your ideas. And I hope that you will enjoy this morning's session and take this experience back to your own cities to share it with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marcella, for opening the scene and setting the basis for the discussion. Now I'd like to enter into the substance of the different sessions. Until the coffee break, we will discuss about the indicator framework. We would like to present you the progress of the work in developing the framework, and also discuss with you, having your feedback, and discuss with you the way forward, how to move ahead with the implementation of the framework. We'll also have the insights from 3 cities that have started to implement, to adopt the framework, to localize it to the local needs, and also they are planning to use it in the coming months. So I would like to call to the table Joy Carey from Rua Foundation, that has been working together with FAO in developing the framework. I would like to call Barbara Emanuel, that is manager of the Toronto Food Strategy. I would like to call Leon Meyer, that is deputy mayor of the city of Ede. So you can take your seats. Yes. And then finally, I would like to call Mr. Olivier Andrea Rissoa, that is the special advisor to the mayor of the city of Antananarivo. You can take your seat. So I can go now with I will now start with presenting the progress in the development of the indicator framework. So can I use this? Yes. Okay, in this presentation I will start describing a bit what was the process and what were the steps to develop the framework up to now, and then I will leave the floor to Joy, that will enter more in details and will describe a bit the type of work that we have done, the indicators that we have identified, and also the guidelines that we have developed. So as I mentioned, first we will present a bit of the status of the framework. We will hear from the experience of the 3 cities, and also most importantly, we would like to discuss with you. So we would like to hear your feedback, your view, and also discuss with you on how to move ahead with that and how to move into a more implementation phase. So just some recap on why we went into the development of a framework. The idea of the framework was to facilitate, to help the cities, the signatory cities of the pact, to create the basis, the evidence base to design policies, to define priority areas, targets, and also to monitor the progress towards the implementation of the pact. And of course, the evidence and the evidence base can also be an instrument to mobilize internal support and internal and external resources, and to communicate experiences and lessons learned among cities that are participating in this process. How and which type of monitoring framework? Of course, the overall idea was to follow the principle of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, the 6 areas of the pact. So basically we have focused the development of the indicators into the 6 work streams, no? So governance, food production, supply and distribution, food waste, social economic equity, and sustainable diets. We have identified outcome areas, so where do we want to make a change? And then, of course, we follow the 37 voluntary actions developed within the Pact, and we proposed a final number of 44 indicators to help monitoring the progress, and develop a detailed set of guidelines on how to use the indicators, on how to generate the evidence and to develop the indicators. So just a bit of recap on the timeline, on when we started and how. So this idea of developing the monitoring framework started at the early stages of the Pact, when a number of cities signed the Pact in 2015, and some cities requested assistance in building this monitoring framework, identifying indicators to monitor the progress towards the Pact. And of course, FAO and Milan, they joined the forces, they signed a letter of intent. We organized in 2016 an initial expert consultation with representatives from different organizations and from cities. We developed a number of surveys that were sent to the cities for initial data gathering. We organized an initial session at the annual gathering that was organized in Rome in 2016. Then we started elaborating a list of indicators. We engaged with the city networks to support the process. We organized webinars to start consulting on the indicators. We presented the second phase, an advanced stage of the monitoring framework last year in Valencia, the annual gathering. And then of course, we came up with a list of indicators, and through a number of webinars with a number of cities that participated in the process, we refined the indicators, we started developing the guidelines, we got the inputs from the different cities in developing the guidelines, and of course we are here now to present it to you. So then, today we would like to discuss on how to move ahead from there. So, the cities that participated actively in this process are this list. They basically took a proactive role in this process. They provided a lot of support in defining the list of indicators, but also in developing the guidelines. And without their help, we could have not done this kind of work. So the indicators that we have identified are following a number of criteria, so they have to be some link to a specific outcome and action that the city is taking. They should be based on the data availability or relevance, so either highly relevant even if there are no data, or relevant but with data availability. And of course they have to take into consideration feasibility issues. So the indicators they should be feasible to be generated. So now I think we can enter in the more technical aspects. I'll leave the floor to Joy that can describe the process.
Thanks, Guido. So, as Guido already said, there's a separate set of indicators for each of the 6 work streams, and these indicators are a tool for all of us to use in our own cities, both to develop an initial assessment if that hasn't been done, so to help set a baseline, and also then to begin to monitor progress. There are 2 types, broadly, of indicators in this tool. So some of them are about numbers, quantitative. So They will be percentages, numbers, very specific things like number of adults with type 2 diabetes, etc. Number of city-led supported activities that might engage many more people in different activities. So there's the numbers angle. And then there's also the more qualitative angle, which is about self-assessment. And again, this is going to be different for every city. So we've made some suggestions of areas that would be most relevant. Those sorts of things might be a presence of a plan to address food resilience. It might be presence of a plan to look at supply chain logistics, supports for the informal food sector. So lots of different things could be examples of that. But it's all about building up a picture, and no one single indicator tells an adequate story on its own, of course. So I want to give you an example. Let's just take the work stream of food waste. In this example, there are 3 outcome areas and 4 related indicators. So the outcome areas on the left and the 4 related indicators on the right there. So we're looking to try and reduce food losses and waste in the food system. We're looking to try and develop policies and regulations that will support that and engage a broad range of stakeholders, and to increase the volume of safe food recovered and redistributed. So there are the kind of key kind of changes we might want to make at a city level. And then those indicators, there could be very many more than 4, of course, but these are just a broad framework and a kind